vapor elixir proudly sponsors Smoke Debate on Saturday.
Hello everybody, welcome to Smoke to Vape on Saturday, my new show. I'm back, sorry. Lots to get. Let me just start today by saying that I've got gas. Might need to explain that a little bit. Up until the run-up of the show, 2 days ago, we had a massive gas leak in the Sutton household. Outside, actually, just outside our back door. So the last 2 days was meant to be planning and getting everything just so. Excuses. Yes, our boiler was shut off, our gas mains were dangerous, so we had the council round here, So basically I was thinking, because we all love electronic cigarettes and there's no burning of tobacco, I could legitimately go to the newspapers and say, e-cigs saved my life. What about that? About time we get some good press. Anyway, more about that later in the show and how the EU and stuff is sort of trying to affect us. There'll be more about that and how you can help, what you can do to stop the EU. Right, so as I say, it's been a long time since I've been on, so it feels once again like my first show, and got to just give a quick shout out to the Vapor Trails team. They've been holding my hand over the last couple of days. New settings, new streaming, new technology. It's all been very exciting here. And it's all thanks to the team working very well. So I've got some booze, some fancy booze to celebrate the first show back. Well, it's not fancy, it's just in a nice glass. But it's fizzy. And that got a bit of a shakes as well. It's the adrenaline of being back. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good. What's coming up on the show tonight, I hear you ask? Me too. What I've got tonight is I've got a juice review. Will it have nuts in it? Let's wait and see. I've also got the first part of my Rebuildable Diary. I've got to remember to keep the pace down. Otherwise I'm going to get to the end of all the stuff that I've planned. And there's going to be nothing left. So yes, first page of my Rebuildable Diaries, because if you've seen me when I was on Vapor Trails a couple of weeks ago, talking to Dave Dawn and Daz, I have got into Rebuildable, so there'll be a little feature on that. Yes, so, and then I've got some new kit from iVapor, the EVOD Bottom Coil Cartomizer, the BCC. And I've been putting that through its paces. Got a first impressions video to show you on that. So if you like bottom coil cartomizers or Clearos, it might be Clearomizer actually. I'll be talking about that later on as well. Oh, there's so much stuff actually. I might run out of time. I've got to speed up. Okay, right. Yes, so then I'm going to throw some questions at the chat and then we're going to talk about that. And that's going to involve the EU and what's going to happen with that if worst were to happen, and how we can stop it happening so the worst doesn't have to happen. Right. So, my juice review first. If you saw me on Dave's and Daz's show a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about RY6. Now, I have vaped RY4 and RY5. RY6. It sounded interesting, so I got some. And without further ado, here's the video. Hi everybody, Andy here. I got vape mail this morning. And where's that? I put it in here. Now I saw Dave and Daz talk about on their show the other night 36mg RY6 from e-cigs. I got it this morning. Ordered it like yesterday. Amazing. No, day before yesterday I ordered it. Comes in a child safe plastic wrapped bottle. I like the bottle. You can really see how much is in there. RY6. Dave and Daz decided it as sort of a tobacco-y, coffee-flavoured e-liquid. That sounds just up my street. Because my street is coffee-flavoured and slightly tobacco-y. And yes, maybe with a hint of nut. Anyway, so I'm going to try and get into this expertly wrapped, safely configured bottle. And with the aid of no tools whatsoever. And I know Mr. Dawn broke a nail. That was easy. Smells interesting. Yeah, it smells sort of like raw tobacco. Slightly sort of a chemically smell, but I'm sure that's, yeah, more tobacco-y, leafy, composty type smell. Yeah. So I'm going to load it up on a Stardust and give it a vape at 3.7 volts. Actually, probably closer to 4 volts on a Neo auto battery. And I actually have only got one of those now because I gave one away to a friend at work who wants to start vaping. So my loss is the vaping world's gain. So these little puppies couldn't be simpler to refill. Just take the top off. Now this is 36 milligrams. Like a juice with a bit of a wallop. So RY6. I've tried RY4 and RY5. And that is full. So let's give this a go. RY6. 36 milligrams from e-cigs. Make sure the wicks have definitely got it. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting a little hint of nut. But Daz and Dave said that they were getting a definite sort of cappuccino-y type thing, and Daz described it as an after-dinner vape. So let's see what happens. Oh, hello. Oh, that's lovely. Wow. Daz also said that... Wow, big throat hit as well from the 36 milligrams. Oh, God, I'm losing my touch. Sorry, people. 36 milligrams, good throat hit, nose hit. Daz, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That does taste like the smell of raw tobacco. I'm not going to say it tastes nutty, but what it does have is that sort of slightly earthy hint. That slightly nutty... Oh, I said I wasn't going to say it. That slightly nutty aftertaste that you get when you're eating nuts. I love nuts. Yeah, it's very tobacco-y. I'm not getting very much coffee, Dave. Getting a slight sort of cut grass sort of smell to it. Very nice. Very, very nice. Throat hit's good. Vapour production. Is unstoppable. It's even broken my focus. That is lovely. It is 70% PG, 30% VG. Now, for anybody who knows me and has watched any of my shows or videos, will know I've got a slight intolerance. Won't go into too much detail with VG, but 30% is fine for me. Any more than 50, and it's gets interesting. But the flavour, if you're a tobacco person that likes tobacco flavoured e-liquids, I would strongly suggest you check some of this out at your desired nicotine level, because 36 is really, really packing a punch. Whiteout. Lovely. Yes, and there is a little bit of sweetness, and I agree with Dave Dawn when he said that it's like a Rolly, which has got a slight sweetness from the licorice papers, if you ever used to smoke roll-ups. I didn't use licorice, but I'm a big fan. I was always a big fan of flavoured tobacco, and this is really lovely. So, throat hit, absolutely spectacular. 36 milligrams, I wouldn't expect any less. I'm almost getting the nick-ups, which is a good sign. Flavour, rich, peaty, tobacco, earthy, slightly nutty. Very reminiscent of the smell of raw tobacco when you open the packet. Packaging wise, the bottle, I'm impressed. You can see how much juice is in there. It's got all the safety labels. Child safety cap, comes wrapped up. Excellent delivery from SOS, and I'm going to vape this for the next couple of days and I'll report back with my findings. But I've got to say, I'm a big tobacco flavoured e-liquid fan, and this is hitting all my spots. Right. Lovely. I've got some really boring paperwork to do now, and this is going to take the sting out of it. Right, it's now 8:30, so it's probably about 4 or 5 hours after I've last videoed the filling of this, and I've got half a tank. I've got to say, RY6, really, really nice flavour. Really incredibly reminiscent, as Daz said on the show on Sunday, a couple of Sundays ago. Very reminiscent of a rich rolling tobacco, but just with that right amount of sweetness and a tiny, tiny hint of nut. Well, I can taste nut, but when I say nut, I mean that sort of earthy, moorish sort of. It's a very complex flavour. I'm trying to nail it down, but all I know is I can't stop vaping on it. Daz, I know, said it was a sort of after dinner vape for him. I've got to say, this is an all day vape for me. Very, very nice. So, that's my review of RY6, or first impressions. This juice is going to be not very far away from me over the next coming weeks, so expect to hear more about it. Back to me, live on vaportrails.tv. Yes, and you're going to hear more about it right now because that was about 2 or 3 days ago, so I've been vaping it a lot. And here's the bottle. You can see I've hit that quite considerably. I will say one thing. It has got, and yes, chat, there are juices. I had a comment in chat that said, I don't think there's any juice that Andy's tried that hasn't had nuts in it. Now, that sounded a bit weird, but there are. When I say nutty, let me just explain my nutty definition. I mean, it's got that sort of earthy, moorish. I said it in the video. I said it in the video. They're fine. Yeah, it's got that nuttiness to it. And this RY6 in this same Vision Clearomizer, I'll say this, as you vape it and as it's in your atomizer of choice, it gets more analogy. I think it's, as we know, juice when you've got it in your device, it steeps. Things happen to it and it gets darker and it gets more flavourful. And when it gets more flavourful, it becomes more ashy. So but not in a sort of, oh, that tastes like an analog, that's horrible. It's very reminiscent of an analog, yes, but the flavour of raw tobacco with a hint of ash later on as you get through the tank. It's very interesting. It's very unique, and I have found that it is a good morning vape in the car on an auto battery. Lovely. It's lovely. It's lovely. Negatives about this juice. It does, throughout the day, become a bit much in terms of it is so rich and flavourful that you do feel like you need to switch. But I'm a switcher anyway. But if you're a one juice tobacco, I'll keep doing that. I would say yes, it becomes a little bit, the flavour is so intense. You have to, well, I've been switching to a fruit flavour, not nuts. So, lots more to come on the show. There's one more thing before we go to a break, and I'm just going to do this and get ready for it. So, thanks for watching, everybody. We've got 59 people watching. Thank you very much on a Saturday. So, here we go. Yes, look, the show box. And in the show box, I've got this. Let's cut to a different camera so you can actually see what the heck's going on. This is an e-shisha. Again, they talked about it on Dave's show. So, and as I haven't been doing these shows enough, I've got a lot to talk about. These are new. These are new to me. But so this is from SOS again. But it's 0 milligrams. Now, I haven't tried this yet. This is cappuccino flavour. Now, if you know me, I like coffee as well. Maybe with a dash of hazelnut. So this is 0 milligrams. So I'm going to crack it open for the first time. Now, I like my nicotine. This is going to be all about the flavour. This is $5.99, no nicotine, safecigs.co.uk, and their description says that it's texture and flavour. And looking at it, it's not rechargeable, it's completely disposable, and it's got a bejeweled light on the end. So let's give this a go. This is cappuccino flavour, 0 milligrams. It's broken the camera. Now, I know Dave said that these aren't... Yeah, it's very cappuccino-y, not a hint of nut. Hmm. Wow. Cappuccino, sweet, coffee, milky. Mm. No throat hit, obviously. Hello? Hello? Okay. No throat hit, obviously, but loads and loads of flavour. Now, this poses an interesting question to me. How much of vaping, and I'm going to ask this to chat, how much of vaping to you is the nicotine? Is the action of vaping satisfying? Let me fling it to chat now and get your responses. I mean, you certainly feel something going in. It is thick with flavour, and I see what they mean with the texture. It is thick and flavourful. Yes, Dave K, you are on my show. Welcome. Yes, I see from chat that the majority of people are saying that they are reliant on nicotine. So what that made me think is, for next week's show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to spend a day with one of these and one of these only, to see if, because I use nicotine all the time and I love vaping nicotine, then I would expect that it's going to be quite hard. So it'd be quite interesting. Seabiscuit says, I like good flavour. Fruit needs a lowering to get the better flavour. That is correct. High nicotine level in a fruit juice, it does kill the flavour a bit. That's why, for me, tobacco flavoured e-liquids really do work. But that said, this is giving me... Thank you very much, chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So most people in there were saying that they vape because of the nicotine. But this opens up an interesting question to me, is exactly that, is how dependent on the nicotine am I? Is it more the action of using it? But in terms of using this device, I would say I'd like to get the juice. I would like to get the juice. Even 0 milligrams, is the juice available? I wonder. I'll look into it. It's a neat little thing. The jeweled end, despite my Vapor Trails colleagues saying that I am a bit camp, I'm not sure I'd rock that. I don't know. It's very bling. What do you think? I don't know. If you're a flavour hound, I would say give them a go. I just dropped it. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Nice packaging. Obviously, it's 0 milligrams, so there's no child safety issues with the thing. Obviously, we don't want children using these because that would just be playing crazy. But it looks nice. Apart from that, really, I don't know. So yeah. Ooh, it's got a white light on the end. Interesting. So yes, all about the flavour. No nicotine. I'm going to spend a day, as I said, with it and see how I get on with it. Now, almost the polar opposite of these is what's going to be coming up after the break. So I thank you all for watching, and we are going to go to the advertising break.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir proudly sponsors Smoke to Vape on Saturday. iVapor Elixir proudly sponsors Smoke to Vape on Saturday.
Welcome back. This is officially part 2. I'm going to drink and have some nicotine. Ooh. That's better. Right, if anybody has been watching my videos on YouTube, you will have seen that I have dipped my toe into the world of rebuildables. And you will have noticed I haven't put a great deal of videos on there because of the nature of rebuildables. They are, well, my experience of them has been that they are tricky to get going and getting to their optimal level. So I thought to myself, what best way to illustrate the troubles and tribulations that I'm going through? Do a diary. And I'm going to play that in right now. And here it is. Hello, my name's Andy, and I'm a vaporaholic. Yes, welcome to my first page of my Rebuildable Diary. I got my first one, and now I have 4. So I just thought I'd walk you through my collection to date. These are the first 2 that I got here. This one and this one. These are Arga Teas. I had mixed results with those, because if you haven't got into rebuildables yet, the thing you will discover is that they do have a massive learning curve, and I would like to think, just creeping my way up the bell curve. I can get them now all working, but it has taken a lot of fiddly faffy to get to there, and a lot of very kind people on the forums have helped me out an awful lot, and I thank them wholeheartedly for that. And this is part of the reason why I wanted to do this diary, was so I can, in a small way, people can watch from my, learn from my mistakes and hopefully get the most they can out of their rebuildable atomizers. So after mixed results with the Arga T, I decided to go for the Cyclone V2 Genesis atomizer, and I got mine from Cloud9 Vaping, and because it's upside down fed, I figured the wick couldn't help but be wet. So let's take this apart right now. There you go, you can see the device. I've already unscrewed that a little bit, and there is the juice tank, and you can see it's a little bit sort of soggy. The device heats up, it forms condensation. Now, the device, when it's all together, has not leaked ever. It just gets a bit of condensation on the tank in there. It comes with 2 tanks. It comes with a plastic tank and this lovely metal tank, and the engineering and the tolerances are absolutely fantastic. It's built very, very well. Right, let's plow on and get this thing broken down some more. Now, the juice is feeding down onto the coil and the wick, which is in here. Whoa, that is bent. And if you look in there, you can see that that hole is where the wick is supposed to go into and therefore get fed by the tank. This, incredibly, because of the way it's designed, does not leak at all. The only juice leaking issues I've had is if I've wound the wick too tight and it's not completely obscuring that little hole in there. That said, there is a bit of juice in there, but when this thing fires up, it's spitting juice all inside there like a crazy spitty thing. So I'm going to put this back together now and give it a vape. Despite that wick being a little bit bent and a little bit weird, rest assured that this vapes really, really well. Works like a charm. It works like a charm. So, am I saying this is the one to go for? Well, because the coil is at the bottom, it is a lot more faffy to set up. It took me 4 or 5 goes
to get this working, because when you start, it's like trying to knit a jumper with boxing gloves on. That's what it felt like to me. It is incredibly frustrating, and this is where the fantastic vaping community comes into its own. I found at least 10 videos, different people doing different things, using different techniques to get what I'm doing now. Have I used one person's advice completely? No, I do what works for me, and this, at the moment, is my rebuildable of choice. So really, my first rebuildable diary has to end with that thought, is rebuildables are only as good as the amount of time that you are willing to invest in them. With a little bit of tinkering and a little bit of help from my friends on the forums, I have got fantastic results out of the Arga T, which is £29. This is £69 and it's working as well. With a rebuildable, it's as good as you're willing to make it. That's it, really. That's where I'm at with rebuildables. The other thing with rebuildables is you can't stop tinkering with them. You think, maybe the next coil will be just that little bit better. No burnt taste. Fantastic flavour. No nuts either. I suppose the only thing I can do now is re-wick it.
So next week I'll be looking at wire and getting kinky with coils.
Getting kinky with coils, you don't want to miss that. Yes, rebuildables. I saw some comments in chat, and it illustrates the point exactly. You know, people saying that metal wicks taste as like a rusty nail. I think somebody said that, and then somebody countered that with saying it doesn't if you do it right. So, for me, rebuildables, you've got to find your own technique. You've got to find your own technique. But that said, the Arga T, I have found that the centre post is just that little bit too far away. And yes, if you do have a hot spot on a wick, you are going to get a burnt taste. So, and I always got a hot spot in between the centre post and the wick. So I needed to close that gap. Now, on some, I added a washer to close the gap. I'll cover all this next week in the second part of my diary. But that illustrates it perfectly, is that the more you read up and the more you tinker and the more time you invest in them, the most you're going to get out of them. The one plus point I will point out with that fact is this. I picked this up on the forums in the classified, and I got it for, I can't remember how much I bought it for, but it's a Cobra. It's a Cobra rebuildable. And this is just on a pretty flat 18650 at the moment, and I haven't had any hotspot issues with it at all. I haven't had any problems with the wicking. It wicked straight out of the box. Secondhand, yes. So my point is that you will pick up a bargain on these on the classified, because a lot of people don't get on with them. Now, hopefully together, if we watch my diaries and we sort of work through this problem, we can get the most out of them. That's what I'm trying to achieve, because I can see great potential in these, as have many others, and they're already there and enjoying it. You know, the Cobra, if this was my first one, I'd probably have the same problems I had originally. But hey. Anyway, so I'll just give this a little vape, have a drink, and vape and drink, and vape and drink. Now, you can see that that's not really producing, because that coil in there is wound to something that needs a little bit more oomph. Now, while I've been away, there's been a few advances, and after this brief break, I will tell you about one that I've discovered. And it's this. It's the kick. A lot of people got it a long time ago. If you don't know what it is, it's a little module. Let's go crazy and use the camera. I set it up not just to film a box. Let's face it. Let's do this and let's do that. Why not? Got it set up. Might as well use it. There it is. It's a little tiny box. Little tiny box. And inside there's a module. And that module comes out, and on there you will see it doesn't go in the device like this. That would be crazy. You see that there's a little pot there that you turn with a screwdriver, and that is set to my magic number. I believe it's about sort of 8.5 watts. Now I've got a Darwin. This does exactly the same thing as a Darwin, except it's not instantly changeable. So basically you drop this. Let me demonstrate. I've got a bolt here. Got a bolt here that splits up. That's at the moment got a rather badly performing 18650 in it, and all you do is you get an IMR 18490, and I know lots of people have probably seen this before, but this was new to me. I knew they existed, but I just hadn't got one, and it's really good. So you pop that in there, you pop that bit, you pop that in there, make sure it's snug, and screw it closed. That has now transformed it into a variable wattage device, and hopefully you can see the difference. So that on its own has demonstrated something about rebuildables as well, is that rebuildables, if you've coiled them to a high resistance, need a little bit more oomph, and that is the perfect setting for that coil. So there we go. There's the kick in the bolt. Now I'm using a bolt because sadly my silver bullet passed away. The button fell off. Yes. So this is a bargain, really. I don't have any details on it actually, how much they are. Maybe chat can help me out, but I don't think it's not a lot of money, and it comes with, as a little added, I think extra is it comes with the extension tube. You can see the kick sitting on there. So you can either vape it without the kick, and it's a bit smaller, and it hasn't let me down. It's got a good clicky button, and it's got a vent hole at the bottom. There, you can see that, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Yes. So that and oh, the kick will fit in the following devices. They'll fit in an exhaler, a Precise Plus, a Megalodon, a Silver Bullet. Empire mods, a GVM, the GGTS. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional. Rough Shack. Haven't heard of a Rough Shack. It'll fit in the Cube or the Rio Grande. Modification required, but it's sanctioned by the manufacturer, so you can download the instructions on how to modify your Rio Grande to fit a kick. Yeah, and great. Set it and forget it, basically. And how can you forget it when it's got vapor like this? Lovely. So, surprisingly, that's got menthol in it. Yeah, had a cold a couple of days ago, and that looked after me. So that was the first rebuildable I felt confident I could actually go out with during the day. That's the Cobra. And back to rebuildables. What's the deal with the waiting lists? I am desperate for several, but I can't get hold of any. So that will probably be an exciting day for the Rebuildable Diary. Anyway, so there's the kick and the bolt, and they are looking after me both very well. All that is for nothing, though. Going to get on my soapbox a bit. If the EU craziness occurs and they take away what we love, nicotine. So if you haven't already, I am pleading with you, please, I have, and I will mention what's happened. I've written to my MP, and I did it by going here. There. Write to them. Do it. Write to them. Just there. Write to them. All you have to do is type in your postcode. It'll tell you who your MP and MEPs are. All you do is you click the link, write the email, and in the email, you don't need to get fancy, you don't need to get legal, you don't need to go over the top. All you need to say is you don't believe in the EU taking them away from you. There's enough in the press about it. People know now about e-cigs. We need to get the message out there. We need to be heard. I'm going to get off my soapbox and get this thing off my head. There you go. So, yes. That brings me neatly to the end of part 2. I will see you in part 3.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir proudly sponsors Smoke to Vape on Saturday. iVapor and iVapor Elixir proudly sponsors Smoke to Vape on Saturday.
Welcome back. This is now officially in part. We're now officially in part 3. Hold tight, people. Lots more to come. Got 16 minutes to do it. Great. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to have a drink. This is running out, so I'm going to open a bottle in a minute. Ooh. I hope you're doing likewise. What's coming up next? Well, it's lovely to be hanging out with you all here on vaportrails.tv, where e-cigs matter. And if you've never been to a vape meet and met other people vaping, I would strongly recommend that you do so. I've been to several and they are great days out. They are fantastic. We're all lovely people. I was walking through Bristol the other day and there was a guy puffing away on some sort of tornado ego cartomisery type thing. Didn't know him. Puffing away on the corner there. I got mine out. He got his out. And we had a little chat. When else can you do that? Just get a weird look. But no, we're all happy people, friendly people, and there is something very exciting coming up. And all I've got to do now is find the video. And here it is. And enjoy. Yes, the knees meet. That stands for the Northeast E-Smokers. So if you're in the Northeast, or even not, fancy a bit of a drive, head on up. It's bound to be a great day. Right, so that brings me on to my next and penultimate item. I was sent by Toby at iVapor, proud sponsor of today's show, a EVOD BCC, and here's my first impressions of it. I just got some vape mail. It's from Toby at iVapor. It's the BCC EVOD, or the EVOD BCC. Looks a bit like a Kanga MT3, so I'll be running this through its paces. It's like the MT3 in that it is bottom fed with a coil, a shorter tube on it. Tiny little wicks. So I'll be giving that a run through today, and yeah, I've only heard good things about this, so it can only be massively disappointing. Here's the EVOD BCC. That's a Kanga MT3, and that's a standard Stardust. So you can see the MT3 is the biggest out of three, and that EVOD is really quite nice and neat. Look at that. Very nice. Right, so bottom feeding, so I'm going to fill up at the bottom. Because the mouthpiece is see-through, you can actually see in there. It's quite a nice little touch, actually. So I'm just going to fill this up with some vaporworld.co.uk e-liquid. Oh, and the gap between the centre post, the tube, this little centre tube, is actually bigger than the MT3. So this is a lot less fiddly to fill. There's the atomizing section. Screw that down a little bit, it was a bit loose. Good vapour, great flavour, but with many a clear-o. The test comes with time. So I'm going to vape this for the rest of the day, and we'll see how it gets on. But as I say, there's been a lot of positive feedback about the EVOD. And it's certainly doing nothing wrong on the first go. So I got more paperwork to do today, so this is going to be keeping me company. And it did keep me company. And it's kept me company for a good 24 hours. And here it is. And you'll notice I got a Quacko as well. Good little add-on. I'll use that in a second. And there it is in all its glory. Over the last 24 hours, I've had no leaks, no complaints whatsoever. I have noticed that the draw has tightened up a little bit, but vapour production and flavour are there in bucket loads. I am getting the same flavour as I did when I filled it the first time. I've also noticed I've run a couple of juices through this as well, and it's a really good switcher, meaning that it switches juice flavours really quickly. The wicks on this, this is actually empty now, but it unscrews from the top bottom, yeah, and it's empty. I've vaped it empty today. The wicks are teeny tiny wicks. So looking at that, I would think it would be. They obviously sell replacement heads for it, but it does look very similar to the MT3 head. It doesn't actually fit, although I haven't tried, but it doesn't. I can tell. and it looks rewickable if you're into that sort of thing. So another option. But compared to the MT3, I would say the draw is a little bit tighter, and the MT3's draw is very, very, very light. Obviously that's leaking because I'm doing it on camera, because there's just a little bit of juice in the screws, and you wouldn't normally do it like that. Trying to look, you'd be looking at it. So I'm going to unscrew it again and refill it. The one little neat thing as well is, as I said in the video, this is silly, but because it's got a see-through mouthpiece, you can see all the way through it. It's silly. Right, let's try and refill this at fingertips. I'm putting 24 milligrams Turkish special tobacco from vaporworld.co.uk. Do we still do that on Vapor Trails? I don't know. I've been away a long time. So filling that up, you can use the sight glass window to see how much juice is in there. Obviously avoid the center hole. But as I said in the video as well, it seems to be taking loads and loads. Oh no, it's just I'm not. Yeah, I did actually get it down the center hole then, because I'm doing this on camera and a bit. Let me do it over here. I don't want to give this device a bad first outing. It has not let me down at all. I've just filled it through the hole. So let me fill it up properly. There you go. And screw that in there. And put it on my trusty Neo Auto. Falling in love again with the Auto. If I had to pick one over the other, I would have to say that at the moment this is winning out, because the MT3's got a really light draw, and it seems that the flavour drops off a little bit with the MT3, slightly. This I'm getting every little nuance of the juice, and it's a little bit shorter than the MT3 as well, so it just looks that little bit neater. But horses for courses. I like the MT3, I've got loads of them, and I will continue to use them. These are good too. So there we are. Very nice. I'll just go back to this camera because again, going on about this see-through mouthpiece, which is not removable. When you tip it up, the juice flows into the slightly disconcerting and slightly cool. See? Nice. So, yeah. Really good vapor. That's probably at about 4.1 volts on a Neo battery. As the same as the MT3, it has got that slightly unique Ego-esque fitting, but that will not screw in to a 510 extension. It's its own variety. But that said, Ego threaded, fine. It likes slightly higher voltage as well, so it's a good device. But don't put the juice down the center hole. I haven't had any leaking issues. I haven't had any problems with it. That's the first time that's happened because you're doing it on camera. But it is a really good little clearomizer. So that's the EVOD BCC. It's good stuff. Right, so we're drawing to a close. What I'm going to do is wrap this show up by seeing if the chat have any questions for me. Not yet, because I've got to open, not necessarily vaping related, but I've finished my sparkling wine, so it's time to open some beer in a big bottle. It's probably a bad idea. Sort of a celebration as well for coming back to Vapor Trails. It's good to be here. Lovely to see you all. Loads of you in chat, so hope you've had a good time on Saturday. And I hope you're doing the same with some booze. It's going to go. There's a mirror over there. Oh. Slightly disappointing. Getting flashbacks to my honeymoon. Where's my glass? Let's pour a glass. Join the chat. Say thank you very much for joining me tonight. Now, first of all, for chat, I've got a question. And this might backfire me on me completely, but what is your best vape to go with beer? Hello, chat. Mine personally is, guess what? Something slightly nutty, but I've got to say, to go with a nice beer, an analogy type juice does go very nicely indeed for me. Where's that gone? Here it is. So this is the RY6. Let's see how that goes with Lef. Other beers are available. See, we've got an El Toro, which this RY6 does remind me of a bit, actually. It's a Kang USA mix. See, beer and tobacco flavoured e-liquids just go. Not allowed alcohol. Okay. Well, for me, it's got to be a tobacco flavour. Okay, now obviously we've got. I've only got a couple of minutes left, but I now want to throw to chat a question. We all know that beer goes really well with majoritively tobacco flavoured e-liquids. What would you think of about me doing a little item? Because I've just finished the Hairy Biker series. I'm full of recipes and I need to get them out. I might pair a juice with a recipe. What do you think about that? No, you know, I want you to be involved in the Vapor Trails TV SOS content. What do you think? What do you think about a little bit of a cooking slant? Sounds good. I've got one. That'll do it. I'll come up with a juice food pairing. Then you get that information and a recipe. Right, I've got to go. It's been lovely spending an hour with you. I'm going to run over a little bit. Sorry, it's my first show back. It's gone like a blur. It's gone really quickly. Thanks everybody for watching, and please do so next week as well. Coming up on Sunday, we've got Dave's Tackle Box. I've been Smoke to Vape. You've been fantastic. Thanks for watching.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir proudly sponsors Smoke to Vape on Saturday.